do what I do.
Imports, and it's a no return policy. It's a no return policy. Somebody said they can't hear the sound. Hold on a minute. Let me see. Can you hear the sound now? Okay, yeah. Somebody said FBAs are imports, and there's a no return policy. Africa don't want us. They'll let you know if you ask them. They are not white. No, no, no. No, you can you cannot come here. Okay? We're the descendants of enslaved, the builders. And look, again, and I want to keep running this back to you all. We are not, all of our ancestors were not slaves. All of our African ancestors were not slaves. We were here before 1619 when the first slaves from Africa came. We were here before that. Somebody's saying, am I muted or not? Can you guys hear me? Somebody keeps saying, am I muted or not? Y'all need to make up y'all mind. Okay? You need to make up your mind. Am I muted or not? Somebody say they can't hear. Lord have mercy. Microphone check. Microphone. Y'all, some of you all are saying you can't hear. Some of you saying you can't hear. Y'all need to make up y'all mind. That's what you need to do. Okay? They say I'm good now. All right. That's good. Well, let's get back to it. Okay, let's get on back to it. All right. Again, we were born here. We didn't arrive here. Okay, we didn't flee from danger. Okay, we were. It's something we had to face. All right, we didn't come to the banquet. Right, we cooked the damn meal. That's us. That's why our place is non-negotiable. And that's why we don't have to beg, okay? We demand. And the crazy part is our roots as foundational Black Americans are older than most of the white people you see. And they know it and we know it. So the next time one of these immigrants tells you that we built this country, you correct them. And the next time they tell you that Black Americans are next, you correct them. You understand? And they need to understand that America doesn't owe you anything just because you showed up. In fact, you showed up late. And they need to understand that when their usefulness expires, so will their welcome. And America has shown that over and over again. Look, America has a long, well-documented history of rapidly discarding labor when it's no longer profitable or convenient. The shift is swift. It's surgical and often legal. After the Civil War, you see what happened to Black folk. Shout out to Yaya kids. The Civil War ended in 1865. But by 1866, the Southerners had already enacted Black codes and criminalized Black freedom and established the convict leasing system. That's what they did. They industrialized and mechanized. And during the industrial age, they replaced Black tenant farmers in the South, and millions went north to northern cities because the work dried up, only to be locked out of these white unions and shut out of these skilled labor. Many of you all remember this. When automation hit factories in the 1970s and 80s, Black industrial working class, they were replaced in Detroit, Gary, Indiana, East St. Louis. A lot of Black men were left jobless almost overnight. And then mass incarceration spiked. And shortly after that, America doesn't offer retirement plans to labor. It doesn't need it. It offers cages, deportation, buses, or border walls. Today, the new threat is AI. AI is the new cotton gin, the new combine, the new industrial robot, and it's making human labor obsolete at a pace that's faster than the transition before. The result is a sudden coordinated political movement to remove people who were once tolerated because they were cheap and useful. And once your economic utility drops below the cost of managing you, America moves quickly to dispose of you physically, socially, legally, and digitally. America has always operated under this ruthless formula. And when it comes to labor, use, exploit, discard. And this is especially true when that labor is black or brown or yellow, or at least non-white. You understand? I already explained to you what happened when the sharecroppers became useless. You see what they did to us? Now let's talk about the Chinese and the other Asians in the 1800s. They were brought over here in large numbers to build a transcontinental railroad. Okay, they blasted through the mountains. They laid track across desert. They worked under deadly conditions for pennies, literally. But the minute the job was done, when the last spike was hammered into the ground, America said, thanks, now get out. They actually passed a law called the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. And it became the first federal law to ban an entire ethnic group from migrating to the U.S. It wasn't even repealed till 1943 during World War II. And even then, only symbolically. See, they were good enough, the Chinese were good enough to build America's infrastructure, but not good enough to live amongst quote unquote real Americans. There's the case of the Mexican labor. And we talked about that briefly, right? These same Latinos, they're a growing force today. But up until 1965, they were a small minority in the US. Why? Because America didn't just exploit their labor, it forcibly removed them once the labor was no longer needed. There are two major mass deportation campaigns that swept through the country like ethnic purges related to the Mexicans. Okay? The first one happened in the 1930s. The first one happened in the 1930s. I explained it during the Great Depression. 60% of the Mexicans that were rounded up, and it was 1 million of them, 60% of the Mexicans that were deported were U.S. citizens born and raised in the United States. No lawyers, no hearings. Families just ripped apart, dropped across the border like trash. The second time, 1954, many of you are alive. Somebody type Operation Wetback in the chat room. The U.S. government deported over another 1 million more Mexicans in a campaign that was so violent. It was so violent, many folk died of heat stroke and starvation in the desert. This is how they did the Mexican people. This is 1954. There are people who are still alive who can remember that. And again, to the American citizens, it didn't matter. Now, of course, you're always going to have people out there performing, oh my God, this is a violation of due process. It didn't matter. The work was drying up and the system was cleaning house. And when labor is needed, America throws open its gates. But when the work dries up, they roll out the buses, they bulldoze the welcome mat, and you're out of here. So let's be clear. This country has always treated labor like fuel. It's been meant to burn, not preserve. From the enslaved Africans to exploited Chinese to the deported Mexicans. We invite them in, and when their profit is made, we exploit, when there's money to be made, and then we exploit them without mercy, and then we expel them the moment they're no longer useful. And now here we are in 2025. The new labor class is no longer human. It is AI, it is robots, it is algorithms, it's machines, no lunch breaks, no unions, no lawsuits. So guess what? The system is once again going into removal mode. Only this time it's targeted at everyone: immigrants, refugees, low-income workers, anyone who can be replaced by software or hardware. And if you don't understand that, you're just the next iteration in a long line of disposable labor. If you don't get that, you haven't been paying attention. This is the brutal rhythm of the American economy. Ask the black man. Ask the black man who lost his land in the South. Ask the Chinese worker driven back across the Pacific. Ask the Mexican mother deported with an American birth certificate in her purse. This is how America works. Not with gratitude, not with loyalty, but with cold profit-driven amnesia. And once you've served your purpose, we don't thank you. We erase you. You understand that? And we changed the laws. We freed the slaves and enacted the 13th Amendment. Think about that. The 13th Amendment said we can put them in jail if they're criminals. And then they come up with a whole bunch of laws. We still needed the labor, right? And I say we because I'm an American too. This is our bloody, ugly history. Accept it. When cotton picking machines and tractors were introduced in the early 20th century, Southern landowners quietly stopped needing black sharecroppers who they needed for generations, because for generations, black families were trapped in this exploitative system. They were bound to the land by debts they could never repay. So basically what would happen, and my grandmother and my uncle would explain to me how this worked. Basically what happened was you would pick cotton, and as you needed supplies, you would go down to the company store, which was owned by the landowner who owned the fields and the crops, and you would borrow against your crop. You were already getting a small percentage, okay? They let you had to pay for your residence. Your family usually lived on a plantation. You had to pay for that. You had to pay for your supplies. So they needed big families. 8, 9, 10 kids meant more money. But what ended up happening is at the end of the year, you might not make enough money to you might have borrowed more against your crop. So now you're in debt. So you legally stuck. And that went on for years until they didn't need us anymore. And then once that happened, we moved north. There was a need for labor in the north because we needed people to come operate the plants for World War I and World War II. All the white men had been sent overseas. So there was a need for labor. Now, what happened after the wars were over? We were locked out of the unions. And once again, we had to suffer. No, when the labor is no needed, you're out of here. Now, the civil rights movement should have opened the door to black prosperity. We won the legal battles, Brown v. Board, the Civil Rights Act 1964, Voting Rights Act 1965. But as always, when black people made political gains, the system shifted the terrain. By the 1970s and 80s, with manufacturing jobs drying up and no real economic safety net for urban black communities, what'd you have to deal with? Poverty and unemployment. It surged. You end up with blighted communities. And basically, we were pushed into survival economies. That's when the incarceration started, the so-called Nixon's war on drugs. It escalated under Reagan, but it started with Nixon, and it culminated with Bill Clinton's 1994 crime bill. Republican, Democrat, they all get it. What was the point? The federal government constructed an entire industry or economy around criminal justice to get rid of the excess black labor. They couldn't deport us, so what did they do? They put us in jail. Just like they can't deport all these illegal immigrants, so they housing them in places like Alligator Alcatraz. It's not an accident. This is all a logical continuation of the exploitative cycle. Once you're no longer economically useful, you become a target, and instead of investing in job creation, America builds prisons, or America invests in deportation flights. So now, by the year 2000, prisons have effectively replaced factories in many towns. Plenty of little towns around the country. They got rural economies based on the prison system, locking up poor people, locking up bodies. Heck, the correctional industry is a new plantation. The inmates are the new crops. America didn't respond to our freedom with justice. It responded with containment and surveillance and caging. From the Great Migration to the war on drugs, the pattern remains consistent. When this nation no longer needs your labor, it builds institutions to get rid of you. What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D. People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You were tuned in to Uncle D. D's black man talk. Pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. Lizard King here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shooting, give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.